What is up, YouTube? 2A Michael J here, bringing you an update video on my CMMG Banshee. As I've just got done really kind of putting this firearm through its paces. And I bought this upper a while ago, and I've been waiting on some magazines, right? I saw that CMMG was updating their proprietary magazines if you're running a standard AR lower. And so I bought three. It ended up taking 2 weeks, 2 freaking weeks from the time I ordered it for them to ship it to me. It took about 2.5 weeks if you want to include like the delivery time. Bought three magazines, ended up being about $90, so $30 a magazine. They're expensive mags. They're proprietary. They're not like the old school mags, where the old school mags were like an endo mag type follower and spring that you could take out your standard 5.56 follower and spring, take out the guts, put that in there, and you could run your 9mm Banshee out of a standard AR lower. The new mags, these are 33 round magazines, and they are a little bit larger in every dimension. I kind of wish they would just kept in 30 rounds and then cut off the end, right? I don't really need the extra 3 rounds. I like nice even numbers, since ammo comes in boxes of 20 or 50, and just kind of keeps the round count a little bit easier. I bought three mags because I kind of wanted to be able to kit something out if I liked it. Having extra mags is definitely not a bad idea, especially during election season. I'll get into that in another video about what you should buy during election year, especially with this particular candidate on the ticket. I'm not talking about Trump, but try not to get into politics too much. But I am into politics because I enjoy the firearms hobby. And when you're into the firearms hobby, um, understanding the political world is definitely in your favor. If you want to stay up to date, and if you want to make sure that you're up to standard for all the rules and regulations happening across the United States, it is good to kind of understand what's going on in the political world. But anyway, getting into the build, I'm going to get into the actual build first, and then I'll get to my experiences on the Banshee upper. So I was going to buy a regular like Glock lower pattern CMMG Banshee lower. I still might, but they're kind of expensive. They're about $450, probably about 500 when you include transfer fee, shipping, tax, all that. It's probably about $500 to get a Glock pattern, midnight bronze matching lower. This is a burnt bronze Form 1 SBR lower, which is kind of why the package is so compact. But you could put a like Maxim Defense PDW brace. You can't use an SCW brace. You can use like the SB Tactical PDW braces from like HB, or like the Honey Badger bracing system, or their standard other one. I really like the Banshee uppers because you don't have to have like a super heavy buffer and super heavy spring in order to run the direct blowback system. But let's get into the length and the weight of this build, because I kind of wanted to get into the build. And from end to end, you're looking at about 20 inches, which isn't bad. When the stock is fully extended, you're looking at about 22 inches. It's about 22.25 inches. So it's a pretty compact package with a magazine. You're looking at a height of a little over a foot long, or like 12, let's call it 12.5 inches from tallest point to the lowest point on the magazine. Without the magazine, you are looking at, and I'm going to go to the end of the grip, you're looking at about 11 inches. And the weight on it, it actually doesn't really weigh that much, which is really nice. It weighs 3 pounds, 14.5 ounces, so almost 4 pounds. And then with a fully loaded magazine, it weighs 4 pounds, 10.7 ounces. So it's a really lightweight, compact package. I really dig the build. Would I change a few things? I absolutely would. This is a 17 designs lower that I formed one for another build, but I decided to go ahead and run it on this. Um, Strike Industries, PDW stock. People like to hate on Strike Industries, but I quite like the design on this. The length of pull is really short, but when you're running a PDW, that's fine. It does take a standard. It's a flat wire spring, but it's a proprietary like buffer system and stuff. This ran just fine with the included buffer spring and weight. In fact, the recoil impulse was quite nice with this, which is why I probably wouldn't change it. Um, Strike Industries, it's like a 6090 hex ambi safety selector. Are there better safety selectors? Yes. Am I going to change it? Probably, but I had this one in a parts drawer and I needed an extra ambi safety, and it works. Works pretty well. I have a LaRue MBT2S. There's probably better triggers I could put in this. A single stage would probably serve its purpose a little bit better, but it's a nice trigger, especially for, I think I paid $90 for this trigger, so not too bad. I'll probably put like a single stage in this at some point, but I do like mil-spec type triggers now. I have a Battle Arms Development bolt catch. I tried running a bad lever and what was it? Like a Phase 5, the EBR version 3 or something. The EBR version 3 fit in here, but I did not have last round bolt hole open when I was using it, so I took it out. Tried to put a bad lever in here, and the standard bolt catch that I had was too tight in this, so I just switched it back to this Battle Arms development bolt catch. Again, 17 designs lower. This is a billet lower with an integrated trigger guard. I quite like these lures for the price. You used to be able to find these lures for like $60, but I actually don't see any of these lures on the market anymore. I think they might have went out of business. Let me know in the comments if anyone has seen 17 Designs lures. Magpul K2 Plus grip, CMMG charging handle. So this is what came with the Banshee. It's okay. It's not bad. It's a little large. I think I could get away with something a little bit smaller, since it's kind of a PDW package, but it's a good charging handle that CMMG includes. I've got some Magpul M-Lock covers that I had laying around on this, and it just adds a little bit of texture. You honestly don't need it though. Put a Surefire X300 on this, and the way I grip it like this, and I can just push my thumb up in order to engage it. It works quite well. I kind of like the controls on it. It's got a linear comp that was included with the Banshee upper. Let's see, get a little bit of action there. It does a good job. I didn't notice any flash, or it didn't seem that loud. And then I've got a ScalarWorks Leap mount, which is 193 height with a HoloSun 503R. So you can change the reticle system on this. I'll probably end up changing the optic out. I don't quite like the shininess of the 503Rs or the 403s. Some people like the rotary design. Some people don't. I prefer it didn't have it. I honestly would just rather run a Romeo 5 or a Romeo 5 Gen 2. Hell, I even might buy a Romeo 4XT or 4XT Pro for this because I like it so much. I did put an EOTech on this at one point, but it looked a little too big for this build. So I think a T2 standard type optic would probably work better, or even like an acro, or I don't know, even like an RMR, like a elite mount with an RMR. It's 1932 would probably work pretty well with this. But I'll just probably change out the safety selector just because I want something just a little more Gucci, even though this one works just fine. I don't like the YFS screws, where you can see what says YFS on this, and they're just better safety selectors on the market. Even though this one, like I said, I haven't had any issues; it works just fine. And buy, I'll probably buy like a midnight bronze lower just because I like having matching uppers and lowers now, right, for builds. And I would probably run a brace on that one instead of running a Form 1 because I'm always afraid taking my Form 1s out because if I ever to use it, I don't want to lose my Form 1. And not all court cases are going to look at like form fours or form ones the same. They might think you bought that just to use in a situation where just like a home build or something might look a little less intimidating to a jury. But I'm getting to a lot of what ifs. I wouldn't be too concerned about that, but it always makes me a little bit nervous traveling with my form ones because it's just a lot of headache. If I get pulled over, I have to state that I have an SBR, I have a suppressor, and then the whole rigmarole of them checking into like the paperwork and stuff, right? That seems like a headache to me. Whereas they might let you slide if it was just a non-formed firearm, right? At least that's my thinking. I've not been pulled over with this, but that's just my thinking behind it. So I just want to say this is the smoothest shooting AR-9 that I've ever shot in my life. It was incredibly reliable. I did have one malfunction. I had a failure to eject where it kind of double fed. Well, the case didn't come out all the way and was trying to feed another round. I cleared that relatively easy, but that's the only malfunction I had with this. I shot exactly 500 rounds, so I brought 10 boxes of Federal 115 grain, just full metal jacket. I ran it really well. I ran it really fast, basically as fast as I could pull the trigger. I'd zeroed this at 25 yards, and I was able to make a hole the size of a baseball. It was just basically gone, right? I set up like 4 different targets, and every time it just shot out a hole the size of my fist, just completely out. This was just incredibly fun to shoot, incredibly easy to shoot. The recoil impulse felt like I was shooting a 22 long rifle. The magazines did really well. I was honestly impressed with this build. This is a 6.5 inch barrel, so I quite like the little more velocity that you're going to get out of something like this. I quite wouldn't go with like an 8.5 inch or a 16 inch 9mm barrel. The velocity just isn't worth it to me. I might change out the muzzle device to end up being a suppressor host because I think this would be a really fun suppressor host firearm. Although I need to check how well this cycles with 147 grain subsonics before I do that. It is a direct blowback system, even though it is radial delayed blowback. So you can kind of see it looks like a standard AR bolt, and it kind of operates the same as an AR bolt. So you have instead of like basically an open bolt design where the regular AR-9 just kind of has the cartridge there, the firing pin goes, and it doesn't do anything. It just blows back, goes back in, feeds another cartridge into the chamber. Where this one has a bolt face, and the bolt face locks in the chamber and then twists out, and that twisting action is what causes the delayed blowback. And they call it radial delayed blowback because obviously it rotates to unlock the action, right? And I have a 9mm PCC. It takes Glock mags and stuff, and it's a little finicky. And from what I've been told from other people that have built AR-9s, their AR-9s are finicky as well. Um, I haven't. I just kind of threw this piece together. I had ideas with it. I definitely wanted to get either the built magazines, the proprietary mags for this, or I wanted to buy a proprietary CMMG Banshee lower to match this before I really started to run it. It will not use like a Sylvan Arms AR-9 lower or like an EPC-9 Aero Precision lower. You have to use like a standard AR-9 or an AR lower with these magazines or buy the CMMG patterned magazine lower. You know, they make them for like Colt mags, they make them for like P320 mags, Glock mags. They make them for a whole bunch of different type of magazine patterns. But this was so fun. It was so easy just to shoot so many rounds. Before I knew it, I had to like load more mags. Magazine dumping was incredibly fun. It was really accurate, even though it's only 25 yards. I'm good with a good grouping of like basically baseball size groupings at 25 yards, especially when you're just mag dumping into it. Extremely fun, extremely fun. Again, because it really did feel like I was shooting 22 long rifle. I had another guy there. He was kind of a new shooter, and he was a little scared of shooting some calibers. I let him shoot this, and he fell in love with this. He thought this was the coolest thing ever. So it's probably a little bit out of his price range, but he had a lot of fun with it. So for new shooters too, like if you have kids and stuff, this would be a good option for them because the recoil impulse is very low. It's not very loud. You know, the report's very minimal, and the ammo is relatively inexpensive. Shooting 9mm is so much easier than shooting rifle calibers, or it's easier than shooting, you know, 5.7 or 4.6 or even 40 Smith the West and 45 ACP, 10mm, 380, whatever your flavor is for a PCC. 9mm is probably the cheapest that you can do. Mine is 22 long rifle. And I pay about 23 cents around for my standard like Federal, Winchester, Remington 115 grain full metal jackets. And I pay about 57 cents around for my Spear Gold Dots 124 grain and about 55 cents around for my Federal 124 grain plus PHSTs. So they're still relatively inexpensive um, even for the self defense duty ammo that I use. So I did not shoot any defensive ammo out of this yet. I have a batch of 1,000 Federal HSTs coming to me because I think buying ammo right now would be a really good idea for everyone. If you don't already have like an AR or a pistol, I would go buy any gun that you might have on your wish list, and I'd buy a few magazines and I would buy ammo. This is coming to like the election month, and if the wrong person gets elected, body armor, magazines, firearms, ammo, it may go the way of the dodo bird. So I've been stocking up. That's what I've been mainly doing is I've been buying magazines and ammo. I haven't bought guns in a while, but I've been stocking up on ammo. And shooting an AR-9 like this is just much easier on the wallet than shooting rifles. And this is just, I wouldn't call this necessarily a fun build because I would absolutely, just on my little bit of experience, I would trust this in a self defense situation. I would trust that it would run. I would trust that it's accurate. And I would trust it in all the aspects that I would need a self defense gun to run. But very, very cool, very low recoil impulse, very smooth cycling AR9 build. If you're looking to build out an AR9, don't don't do the direct blowback system. I I would absolutely tell somebody get a CMMG Banshee upper, use a standard AR9 lower. I cannot I cannot vouch whether or not the Glock pattern or the MMP or P320 pattern lowers from CMMG Banshee are as reliable, but these magazines do seem good. Um, I've been a little bit expensive, so it'd be hard to stock up on them, but I'll probably order one more since I want to run 3 magazines and like a placard or something like that, or a chest rig, and I want one in the gun, so I actually need 4. But very cool build, very cool build indeed. if you've been on the fence about CMMG Banshees or think it's like, how do I put this? It's kind of hype, right? That you don't see a performance difference in the radial delay blowback system. I can absolutely tell you there's a huge difference in the radial delay blowback system. Huge difference in the recoil impulse and the cycling. It cycles faster. I could basically pull this as fast as I could pull the trigger. I'm kind of interested to see if you put like an FRT in this, how it would function too, because I was firing pretty quickly, basically as fast as I could when I had the malfunction. I'm wondering if that was the reason for the malfunction. But I would absolutely recommend this upper. I want to get the 16 inch. I want to get the 8 inch. The 6.5 inch, I think, is a good size. And I would absolutely, I want to put like a regular buffer system on this. I had put like a regular buffer system on this, and it looked kind of ridiculous. The back end looks so much bigger than the front end. I would get some sort of like shrunk down PDW type system if you can. They make braces in that sort of system, and you can use a standard spring weight, standard buffer weight, which is really nice. You don't have to have like a super heavy bolt, super heavy buffer, and that's what really makes those AR9's recoil impulse so heavy. The 9mm cartridge should not recoil that much, but due to the design of most AR9s and how they function, the recoil impulse is more than a 5.56. This was very tame, very fun to shoot. Absolutely recommend it. I This is so much fun. This gun will probably come to me with the range every time. That's how much fun it is to shoot, and it's good for beginners. It's good for people who know what they're doing too, and you don't need a lot of experience putting it together. You don't have to worry about putting what parts with it because uh, it's easy to get the system to run with just regular parts you have laying around. You don't have to buy specialized parts in order to get this run. You don't have to go out and buy like AR9 like triggers and bolts and all that stuff, right? You can use basically what you already have. You just have to buy the magazines. So that's my experience on the CMMG 9mm Banshee upper. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And until I see you guys again, join me next time.